Okay, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to touch bases on what money is and what money is not. Many people do a lot of things for the dollars that you see in front of you here today. Many people don't understand what it is and what money is not currently. How money is generated. If you ask the average person how money is generated, they don't know. There's a few ways that money is generated, but based on the studies, understanding money is generated particularly through debt. And we'll explain that. It doesn't sound like makes sense, but that's exactly the way it is. Let's say, for instance, you go to a bank and you get your check. Let's just say on a small note, you take $100 and you put it into the bank. Well, there's a thing, and you may want to write this down and Google this. It's called fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking is just like you get your check. And let's say, just on a small note, you go into the bank and you deposit your check. Let's say your check is $100. You deposit your check of $100. Well, for the $100, just using one particular person, and this is happening to many people. For every dollar or $100 that you put into the bank, the law allows the banks to, under fractional reserve banking, to loan out $1,000 on credit. So by you depositing your $100 into the bank just has an opportunity now to loan out credit of $1,000 on its books. And this money that they've generated to a person who came in and looked for $1,000 loan, the bank charged them an interest rate that they're going to get, and they're going to have to pay back that $1,000 plus whatever it may be, 5%, 6%, 7%, depends on their credit score. The bank is going to receive money back on top of the $1,000 that they generated out of nowhere just for you depositing $100 in the bank. And this is done for every $1 that's in the bank. It's done. They can loan out $10 for every $1 that's in the bank. So there's millions of banks. There's millions of money being generated out of thin air on the computer as credit. And many of you people who do millions of things for these dollars don't understand what you are actually taking hold of. You don't know what you actually have in your pocket as you work and you deposit your money into the bank. And it's fine and dandy. It's your preference, as long as you know what it is that you love so much. Everyone loves money, but people don't understand money. And if you love something, you're supposed to be able to understand it to the fullest, every ins and out about that thing that you love. And many people don't. They don't know how money's generated, but they love it so. So for every $100 you put in the bank can put somebody else in debt by giving them a loan. And that's what you call fractional reserve banking. Now, many people don't understand how the economy is ran or different things that's run on the economy. And all these things that we talk about here today, or any of the information that we put in the channel, it's your due diligence to review the information, look up the information, and make sure the information that we provide you is correct. Because it's just educational information that we're giving you. We don't want to temper anyone. We don't want to, anyone to feel a certain way. We just want to provide you with the best information that we can provide you, educating you on the things that are important to you, so you know what your responsibility is in using that, and you understand how to use it and the importance of using it. Now, let's talk about inflation and deflation. When rates fall, the cost of living is more. And basically, there's more money added to the supply. It is easier to borrow, and banks are hoping that citizens borrow. That way it speeds up the economy. Just as the polar opposite, when rates when rates rise, the feds are trying to tighten or shorten the money supply. This is also known as deflation. It is harder to borrow money during this time because what they're trying to do is slow down the economy. As you can see, the stock markets have changed. They have went down based on on these rates rising and the hike of rates, the rates going up. Stock markets have fallen, or the anticipation of rates that are going up causes stock markets to fall as well, because they know that they're tightening up money. It's going to be harder for companies, harder for individuals to get loans, to get free money, to get credit, because they're tightening up the supply. And when they tighten up the supply, if we're a country that lives off debt, that means there's going to be some real bad situations. People are going to get laid off. There's going to be a lot of different things that happen. But mind you, these things have to happen. Rates have to rise in order to control inflation. So, our national debt. Now, many people talk about the national debt, but they don't know what the national debt is or how we come about getting a national debt. National debt comes from Congress borrowing money from the Federal Reserve. And they have to pay that money back. And they have to pay that money back with interest. Whatever money that Congress doesn't get or can't collect from the citizens through taxes or whatever or other means, it must be borrowed from the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve gets paid interest on the money that it created from nothing, leaving taxpayers stuck with the bill. What's left over is what you consider your national debt. Many people don't know how that operates. And it's a simple system. It's just that we are borrowing money from the Federal Reserve, who makes these notes. These are called notes that you see on this paper. It says it's a note. This is not money. It's a note. Now, when rates are too low for too long, you have a boom, and then you eventually have a bust, which would happen in 2007. It's a bubble. That's what many people call it when you hear that. In 2000, basically, the last year the target rate was 5.25%, and by 2008 the target rate fell to 0%. Mortgage rates in 1980 topped out at 18.45%, and they have been falling ever since. The economic growth since 1982 was based on the recent mortgage rates. Someone with poor credit, and many people don't know, they understand money, they want credit, but they don't understand what poor credit is, and they don't understand what excellent credit is. Poor credit is someone who has a credit score of 620 to 639 or below. That's someone with poor credit. And a person with poor credit can get a 30-year off fixed rate loan at 5.4%. Someone with above average credit rate has a credit rating score of 680 to 699. And they can get a 30-year fixed mortgage for 4.97%. Now, a person with excellent credit has a 740 and above. And the best rate that they can get is 4%, basically, on an annual percentage rate. In 2015, a score of 620 rate is 5%, or 760 or higher was 3%. You can qualify for a mortgage with a credit score as low as 500 back then. And it requires a minimum of 10% down. On a 30-year mortgage of $30,000 with a 20% down payment and an interest rate of 3.75%, the monthly payments will be $1,100, not including the insurance that you have to pay on that home. Now, according to bankrate.com, and you can look that up and it'll tell you the different rates. The national average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage is 3.87%. The national average for a 15-year fixed mortgage loan was 4.35%. Now, and that's another thing in regards to purchasing homes. Every first Tuesday, and many people are not going to tell you this, but we're going to tell you here today. Every first Tuesday of the month, there's an auction at your courthouse, at your local courthouse. There's an auction that sells homes. You have two different types of auctions. You have mortgage auctions, and then you have tax lien auctions. Every first Tuesday of the month, and no matter what county you're in or state, by law, they have to auction these properties off at your local courthouse. And they have to auction these properties off in a public sale, which is sold to the public. So every first Tuesday, you can look or go down to your courthouse and watch the auction and look for what they're doing and how much of these properties are going at. A lot of times on the tax liens, they just want to recover a percentage of what they owe on the taxes. The county takes the homes from people who don't pay the taxes. The banks takes the home from people who don't pay the mortgages. And many people are caught in mortgages that they can't pay. And maybe, let's say, if it's a house that's $300,000, they've been in this house for 10 years, let's say. And they owe on the principal $200,000 on this house. Well, at the auction, they've already paid $100,000. The bank really wants to recoup what's left from the home. So you can get that house and get equity in that home. Let's say you can get that house for $90,000 cash. These are cash payments that you have to pay at these auctions. But you'll be able to get the home. If someone has a loan, and let's say that house, the total market value of that home could be $500,000. And you paid $90,000 to get that house, you basically have $400,000 equity in the home. And that's a profit. But many people don't know how to get a home. They'll go into the bank, they'll get a loan from a bank, from a house they can't afford. And the bank understands this. And sooner enough, they'll be selling that home to someone else and foreclosing on you because you can't afford it. that's all we want to provide you with the information here. We want you to be able to know how to accumulate things.